Yes, hello everyone, and welcome to our first Thanksgiving meal cook-off. We're doing a demonstration today, and it's brought to you from the makers of Jennie-O turkey brand. My name is April, and I work with Jennie-O, and I do sign language interpretation in the Faribault plant. So this year, I know the holidays are going to look a little bit different, and that's for everyone. There's so many more different like home cooked meals that are going to be happening all over. And so the Thanksgiving Day meal, we want to make sure that we support and that we can celebrate that by doing different demonstrations. And we'll do demonstrations for cooking. And those are going to be from people that are just all over the country. And they're going to show you different ways that you can prepare your Thanksgiving meal. And they're going to start between now and they're going to continue until actually 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. And so we'll be bringing you different food experts, and those food experts are going to show you different things that you can do to cook on all different levels. So our first guest chef that we have is Chef Hadassah Patterson, and she's going to be showing us how to make a really easy and delicious Thanksgiving meal at, it doesn't even matter, any skill level. And the chef says that she just loves to cook. She loves to cook and she loves to eat from so many different cultures. And she tries to just eat as many different cultures as possible. And she really focuses on making sure that she has gluten-free meals. And so she uses that and continues it into her cooking and make sure that it's still delicious, even if it's gluten-free. So we just want to thank you. She actually, and just to let you know, she just recently, she became deaf. And so she uses sign language to communicate as well. And so right now we want to go ahead and we want to welcome Chef Hadassah. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi everyone. So I'm Chef Hadassah and also Chef Des. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Jennie-O turkey. It's oven ready turkey. Okay. So I was talking to a lot of my chef friends and we were talking, online, we were talking. And so I was asking, how are you doing? How are you feeling lately? And so they were telling me, gosh, I'm so tired. I'm stressed. I've been under so much pressure. And so, I was looking at a lot of, even my food friends, just really expert food people. And they were like, just really stressed and, kind of weighed down. So I noticed that what they were doing is everyone now is looking for easy ways to do this year. No one wants anything like really complicated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the easy way to do turkey this year. So first off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unwrap the Jennie-O oven ready turkey. Okay. I'm going to put my gloves on. And so I've been a chef for quite a while now. I've been cooking for like 10 years in restaurants all over the area, from short order food trucks to like AAA fine dining award-winning banquet facilities. So I've kind of been around a little bit. Now this one, you see, it's still frozen, but the whole convenience of this is the fact that it goes straight from the freezer to the oven, and it's very easy. You don't have to thaw. Doesn't have to thaw. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put this in the pan and put this in the oven. You give it about 15 minutes, and then you can kind of pull the bag off. And you put a few slits in there to vent like the steam and all of that kind of stuff. Okay. I've got about an inch or two of water in the pan just to keep it from sticking. I'm from North Carolina originally, And all of my family has been here for a very long time. And so we're very familiar with a lot of the farmers and the produce and everything from this area. And I just really enjoy getting to know the farmers. I started off covering the local farmers market while I was in culinary school, and it was just a really great experience because I got to know more about the seasonal produce, the vegetables, the fruits, and things that grow here, the type of animals, meat, what have you, that people are raising. So it was a really great experience, and I got to know everyone, kind of from the ground floor up. And even though both of my parents were in food, so I'm still familiar, but it's a different experience to get to know all of the different types of produce that actually grow in your area directly from the farmers and what does what and what's good for this and what fries up better. So I consider it my second upbringing. That's my second childhood around food. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this turkey in. And then we're gonna wipe down. Okay. So you want to be really sanitary. I've got sanitizer and warm soapy water. So I want to be really sanitary after using any kind of raw product. Um, so it's really important that we keep the raw meats and things like that away from, our fresh produce and definitely our ready-to-eat foods. Okay. So what we're going to focus on now, I'm going to get into prep. Now, prep, I always tell people if you really want life to be easy, go ahead and do your prep and run through all of your prep early at the same time. Same time. So I'm gonna do the mushroom last. But we've got what we have coming up for today is the Brussels sprouts. All right. So we got a really great Brussels sprouts dish. And a lot of these are well-loved dishes that I've cooked for people before, either for private events or private clients and what have you as private chef. Um, the Brussels sprouts I favorite. If you're not really like a Brussels sprouts person, I think this will still win you over. I would challenge you to try it at least once. Because it has like all of the flavor. It's so good. So I have the Brussels sprouts. It has bacon, like smoky, savory. We've got some umami coming with portobello mushroom, and then a hint of sweet from hot maple syrup. So it comes together really well. So let's go ahead and start prepping the Brussels sprouts. Right. So we're just gonna slice these in half. And so I'm just gonna kind of run through a few of these sample veggies from our menu today and how we prep those so you can kind of see that. Some of them, we're dicing, some we're slicing. But for the Brussels sprouts, you just want to have them and then you're gonna roast them. And they get a lot of caramelization. And in the recipe, I tell people not to cheat themselves. And the reason I say that is because, sometimes they can be too quick to take things out of the oven, like a little bit nervous. And you don't want too much color on them, and that's important. But with Brussels sprouts and some of the cruciferous veggies, they get so much more flavor when they start to brown. So don't cheat yourself, give it plenty of time, let them cook, and trust yourself, it's gonna be okay. Let them get good and brown and develop all that delicious flavor, and then the maple syrup will really bring that out even more. Okay, so then we'll have the roasted root vegetarian, Now with that one, the roasted vegetarian has it's all root vegetables, and it's very flexible dish. With that, you can use like turnips, um, rutabaga, all kind of potatoes, carrots. You just build in different ones, whatever your favorite happens to be. Use that. And so you have, all of the bounty of autumn in one dish, and you get so much flavor because it's still going to roast. And it has a nice sauce that holds everything together. So when you slice, it stays stacked on top of one another. So that's why I call it a terrine. Terrines are kind of tightly packed in, food. So it's a really good dish, and it does well with people. I like to layer it with different colors and use a glass container, and that way you get, it's really, pop, like color pop. It's nice. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and chop an onion. And you'll see that we use this later. All right. Now, I'm gonna also start on the red and green peppers, and then the apple. There's all four of the dressing, which I'll introduce in a little bit. But so you see, it's not really, once you get the turkey out of the way, everything else is easy. And all you have to do is focus on your side dishes, and everything just fills out so nicely. It's so much less stressful and so much less headache. I really thought it was such a fantastic idea. And I thought it was genius what they did there at Jennie-O. That's really what people need right now. So it's really a fantastic thing. So this is some green pepper, and we're just gonna chop that like medium dice. Green pepper, red pepper. It can be a little larger, like chunk if you want to really see it in your dressing. You don't want it to disappear in the dressing and it's hiding up under the cornbread croutons and stuff. We have a saying that if you don't see it, it's really there. In the food world, especially the bacon. Don't hide the bacon. Whatever you do, don't hide the bacon. I don't know if it's there or not. And so we'll start on the red. Now, with this, you can chop them basically the same size, and of course you put them in the separate containers when you're doing your prep or what have you, just to keep things organized. We call this mise en place. Our professional terminology. But so what it means is to have everything in place, and it just makes life so much easier. So much easier, not running, so the whole idea is to just be chill, relax, enjoy yourself. Okay. You're not having to thaw turkey for 3 or 4 days and plot or graph or anything, So you want to relax with this. And this just makes it so much easier. You just reach over as you're cooking, you put your meats beside your station where you're cooking, your table, your stove, and what have you. Whatever you need for that dish, all you have to do is reach. And you just put in one thing into the pan or what have you. You have it all right there. The stress-free method. Okay. Now the apple. I'm just gonna chop this right quick. Of course, you can use a peeler, but we're not really like. super concerned. They teach us in school, you know, you use your knife for pretty much everything. If you have one tool and you get stranded on a desert island, okay, you wear your knife. Okay. Alrighty. So we'll talk more about this when we come back. So I'm going to go ahead and work on the portobello mushroom. I'm taking the outside skin off because if you wet a portobello, it gets slimy and nasty. Um, so instead of trying to wipe it down, you know, I've been in kitchens, they want you to wipe the portobello. So you're just wiping, you're trying your best to get the dirt off. And it takes forever because the dirt's not going to come off, okay? So we just peel this right off. You see how easy it is. It's so much quicker. The reason we want the dirt off, though, is because it has like fertilizer in there. Right. And that's why I did it last too, because I don't want stuff all over the place, all over the fresh veggies. You know, you want to kind of keep that separate a little bit too. And so I'm going to just kind of scrape the gills out because we can't really get all of the dirt out from the gills either. So we just scrape that out with a spoon. Super easy. If you were to try and wash this, you'll be standing at the sink all day long. There we go. We're going to kind of take a few questions from chat. If anyone has questions, you can write in. You can kind of type them out in our chat, and we'll try and get to everyone if we can. So with the portobello, I'm just slicing that up right quick. And we're going to fry them, and they're going to be really savory and umami and delicious. It's so good. Get that part off a little bit. They are so yummy. That one always surprises people. So we're gonna go ahead and um, do you have any no questions? Okay, so we have all of the produce here. You know, all of our prep is done, right? And so we've got our onions and our apples and, you know, our red and green pepper for the dressing. We've got the Brussels sprouts, we've got the mushrooms. So I think we're in pretty good shape, right? So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up the prep part. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and fry up a few of the portobello mushrooms, right? And so you kind of see how nice that looks. They get really crispy and delicious. And once they're fried, you want to just kind of salt them a little bit lightly or season however you like. But when you add them to the Brussels sprouts, it just really gives this wonderful kind of burst of flavor. And it brings out a different layer of flavor in the portobello mushrooms that we're not necessarily used to. And it's just so good. Someone should just do that. They're so yummy. If I could just sit and eat the fried portobello mushrooms, trust me, I would. And so with this, I'm just using a very light layer of cornstarch. It doesn't have to be like perfectly battered. Of course, you can batter them however you like. Okay. So you can batter them up with like some people do like a beer type of batter. You can use your egg batter, and the recipe I use like an egg and milk style batter. And just drop it in the cornstarch really quick. Um, but so you can use whatever kind of batter, but I think cornstarch ends up being the best type of starch to cover them with because you get a very light crispiness and it's a vegetable, so you don't want something like really heavy, like weighing it down. You want light, flavor, and it's not going to overwhelm the mushroom. You want to taste the mushroom. There's a few things a lot of the veggies do better with cornstarch bread instead of like one of the regular flours, even gluten-free flour. If you want like a tempura style type of thing, cornstarch tends to do better.
Hey, Hadassah. Hey, Hadassah.
And it gets nice and brown. You really don't need more than 5 to 7 minutes or so. It cooks very quickly. It cooks quickly. Right. And the reason it's cooking quickly also is because I sliced them very thin slice, thin slice. And that way they cook quickly and it stays nice and light. They're not just sitting there and soaking in the oil and everything. You want them to cook very quick and then you take them out and then they have a chance to drain. I think a lot of times the mistake that people make is they think that food gets crispy in the oil, but that's not the case. If you put oil on your skin, it's moisturizing. So it actually, if you let it sit too long in the oil, it will make it more soggy. So what you want to do is you want to measure your caramelization. You want to kind of keep an eye and just monitor things. Notice the brown and take them out. And it's the oxidation from the air that makes them crispy. I've seen, I have seen professional cooks make that mistake. They'll leave them in the fire too long or something. I'm just gonna kind of turn these over a little bit. And they'll leave them in the fire too long and they just get kind of drippy. So the covering doesn't have to be like a blanket, it'll just be bits of crisp on there and to add some extra texture to the Brussels sprouts along with the flavor.
Hey, Hadassah.
And add some visual interest too, when the professional cooking, we try to add different things to the food to make it as appealing as possible and also healthy.
Hey,
Okay.
Hadassah, we've got some questions from the audience now in the chat.
So we're going to take a break and put everything together,
Let me
and then we'll come back and kind of carry on with our side dishes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, any questions for the chat?
Yes, we have a question, Hadassah. There's a question on there that they said they might have missed it, but were you using an oil? Did you use an oil there at all? An oil? I don't know if you can see me. Can you see me? So did you use an oil there? Would you recommend maybe using an oil?
So the oil, as I said again, this is a question.
Yeah, it's a question.
Canola oil.
What kind of
It's
oil?
Canola
Okay.
oil. For frying, you want something with a high temperature smoke point. We call it smoke point. You can use olive oil, and that's fine. But olive oil will burn faster. So, so for regular like frying, you want something like canola oil because it's more durable. We got higher smoke point. The temperature is more durable, right? So high smoke point for that. And that way you have a chance to, it's still a light oil and it doesn't like change the flavor of the mushroom.
Okay.
Go ahead and check that. It starts to float, you start to float. Okay. I want to keep it clean. I don't like a lot of oil and residue around your frying pan. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the portobello, to the Brussels sprout. It smells so good. I think that looks pretty good. Okay.
We have a few more questions.
Yeah, I have questions. We have questions.
Yes, we have questions. Okay, so there's two more questions. Can you overcook the mushrooms? The portobello mushrooms?
Is that possible to overcook them?
Overcook them. Yes. Can you do that?
You can. I think it'll probably be kind of leathery, like chewy. Yeah. I think if it was more than say 10 minutes, that's probably too long because they're gonna cook really quickly. If you have your oil that's like medium, high, but you want to cook really quickly. So you want a pretty good temperature, at least like 350 temperature on your oil. But with fryers, professional fryers, we usually keep temperature between 325 and 350 for the most part. So it should only take about 5 to 7 minutes for the mushrooms to fry, and you kind of flip them over 2.5, 3 minutes per side, that kind of thing. They cook really quickly if you have your oil getting hot.
Okay, and then the other question is, so you used corn, you used cornstarch. Could you replace that with potato starch?
Potato. I don't recommend potato starch for this because potato starch is much more absorbent. Yeah, it's very absorbent, and I think it's better for more liquid type of things like gravy. Potato starch is good for gravy or add into like your bread mixtures, even in gluten-free cooking. We use a lot of different types of starches, but the starches have different purposes. Um, so if you're using like potato starch, it's really absorbent. It's more absorbent than rice, honestly. It absorbs moisture very quickly. Um, so I wouldn't necessarily use that for frying and that kind of thing. You might want to use it if you're making your gravy, like your turkey gravy, and that's probably a good idea.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. So we've got the Brussels sprouts, right? And so you got all of the nice, like different flavors and textures and everything here. Let's go ahead and take that off. And so I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of the syrup over it. And so we kind of have that last layer of flavor. It's nice and caramelizing. So, okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and take a break here, and then we'll continue with the rest of our side dishes as we go. Okay. Thank you.
Makes it look so easy. Okay, if anyone has any questions, feel free to go ahead and you can type them in on the chat. If you have any more questions, go ahead and you can type it there. I think I've caught up with all of the questions so far.
Some more questions.
Okay. So far, we don't have any, but. And also, I just want to let you know too, that Chef Hadassah's recipes, you can find them on Jennie-O as well. You'll see them like this afternoon on the Instagram page.
Let's see. I'm not sure though. Can you say that again? I think I missed part of what I was
Oh,
turning
it's
on.
okay. No, we didn't have a question. I was just letting them know that if they wanted your recipe, that they could find it on the Instagram page. So it'll be on Instagram this afternoon. It'll be on Jennie-O's. It'll be on their Instagram page. So I was just letting them know.
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, we'll post the recipes and kind of we'll post the recipe. So we'll post the recipes after I do a post. I'm doing a blog post, and so we'll kind of review everything from today.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have everything. So it should go pretty well.
Okay. Awesome. So what is your plan? Do you want to show us, Hadassah? Hey, Hadassah. Hey, what is your plan? What are you going to do next now? Because we've finished with all of that.
Next, what I have. Next, I'm going to do I'm going to do the root veggie. The root veggies. root veggie, like tureen. I'm going to kind of talk about that a little bit. And then I'll bring over the two like hormel vegetables.
Okay, perfect. Awesome.
Okay. Um, so
And then
let
the
me know
turkey,
when. Okay.
and maybe I missed it.
Okay. Um, so this is our roasted root vegetarian. And this is another one that's a classic favorite of a lot of the customers. And I've also cooked this for, it was Valentine's dinner that I did at the Sweetheart Social. Yeah, it was really nice. And so I wanted something that we know we had some vegan folks. And so I wanted the vegetable side dishes to be a little bit more complex, have a little bit more to them, and not just be too light, So with root vegetables, they're very hearty and feeling. You feel full when you finish. So with this, I recommend putting them in a clear container, or if you use individual ramekins, but just make sure they're clear so you can see them, see through. And you get so much color. It's nice and bright and it just really pops. So you can see, like at the bottom, I've got some red beets. You can use different things. I've got some boiled gourd and garnet sweet potatoes in there. I've got some like regular white turnips. When you roast turnips, you get more flavor. Some people don't like turnips. Okay. Um, okay. So the flavor is it really develops as it's roasting. Um, so you'll get a really good visual interest to it with the real vegetarian when you're layering. You just try different colors. My only real advice with this one, and this is in my winter solstice recipe book also, but my only real advice with this one is to make sure that when they have different textures, like the vegetables that are really like more tough, you want them to just kind of steam them a little bit, or flash cook them, or flash bake them, or something like that, to kind of keep in mind, like if they're really seafood, like the beets, they kind of run and they get color kind of everywhere. So you just want to keep that in mind. If you cook something beforehand, just kind of remember, and think about how you want to plan that. But so, like the sweet potatoes, I just drop them in some hot water and just kind of flash cook those a little bit and pull them out with some time when they're like tender. Mm-hmm. And that way, the turnips, that's sliced thin, and the beets are, pretty thin. So everything cooks at the same time. And when you slice into it, you're not getting like some parts are hard and some parts are soft. And you're like, what happened here? You want them to cook like evenly. What on earth? Yeah. So you're not that way, it's just, you slice in and it goes straight through and the knife doesn't skip. We don't want that to happen. Okay, so for the next two side dishes I have for you today, these were more Hormel based type of side dishes. They're on the Hormel.com website, developed by the chefs there. And this is a Swiss chard and a mushroom casserole. If you see that. Right. And so it has a little mushroom in there too. I really chose these because I tell you why. Sometimes you have vegan person and they come as a guest to Thanksgiving, right? Or your table, whatever dinner, but then you have someone there and they don't eat meat. So what do you do? But you have to make sure that all your side dishes have some protein. You want some protein in there. And that way, no matter whether someone eats meat, if they eat meat, fine. But if they don't eat meat, then everyone is full and they feel satisfied and happy. We want everyone to live happy, right? So these have mushrooms also. This is a Swiss chard mushroom casserole. And it has a Swiss chard. And you can use some aromatics in there, some onion, garlic, or what have you. I add a little bit of celery in there also. And then, you put some crumble, some breadcrumb. They have some Parmesan, really good flavor, olive flavor, your building flavor. Build. So you have different layers in them. But it's one of those dishes that's just very easy to kind of adjust and manipulate a little bit. Now this one, I use my cast iron pan for this one. Okay. Um, this is the harvest dressing, harvest stuffing, and this is on my website as well. If you can see. So for this one, what I did is I used the regular recipe, and the regular recipe has some apples, it has cranberries and pecans. So again, you get different levels of flavor and texture, and yum, it's really good. Okay, so you have that. I add a little bit of onion, and for the apples, I use okay North Carolina wine sap apple. Okay. Wine sap apples are a mountain apple from this area. They usually grow in the mountains. You can grow them different places, but they grow really well in the mountains here. Um, so they have a lot of flavor, and the texture, it holds up really well when you're roasting. A lot of times, you have different varieties of apple, and they all kind of behave a little bit differently. They're all different, you have different flavors. Some of them are more mushy, but the wine sap apples, those apples, they're very firm, they hold up very, very well. So you bake those, you can probably bake them if you aren't baking the whole thing, but they hold up very well to roasting, and it brings out the flavor, kind of like the Granny Smith apple. If you can't find wine sap, of course you can use, the Granny Smith, Granny Smith, Granny Smith apple. So either they're fine, either one will work, but you can probably find the Granny Smith apple more readily, that's more easy to find. Um, Now then we have our pecans that have pecans there, and you can kind of toast the pecans either in the oven or or you can toast them in a pan really quickly, no more than 2 or 3 minutes or so, and it gives them a lot more flavor too. So as you're doing this, you can make it as simple or as like complicated as you want, but I like to keep it simple. For people who folks at home. Um, so we have that. We have cranberries, like dried cranberries as well. So you kind of add all these different things, and you're kind of still building more flavor there. Um, and lastly, I added like red, green pepper. And that's really important from this area as a kind of a regional thing. Not everyone does that, but it's one of the things that I do with my dressing because they're very easy to find. It's very easy from the different farmers markets. I mean, it grows quite a bit here. So that's one of the things I like to do is make sure that I'm using like all of the area, like regional produce, fruits and veggies. So you got with the harvest, you know, you want the bounty from the area, from that region. So you think about the different things, as we kind of travel a lot of times as chefs and we private chefs, you go cook for different people. And so you still want to think about what people like in that area. And also, you know, our family are from this area. We've been here for a very long time. I'm Afro-Indigenous. And so a lot of the produce that comes from here, I guess about 60% of the world's produce originated here in America. So it's indigenous produce, a lot of the foods that we're used to using now. So these are things that grow naturally in this region. And so our bodies need that for health. So we need what grows in our area. So if we think about that as, the seasons are changing and, everyone's stressed. So I try and find different ways to add more like vitamins, um, minerals and things like that. You get a lot of vitamin C vitamin C, um, with red peppers that actually have more vitamin C than an orange, believe it or not. So like during winter, a lot of times, it's cold and, people can always have acid in orange. They get a lot of orange juice and stuff like that already. But you get more vitamin C with the red pepper. So I try and find different ways to kind of stick that in there. Different, like I'm not trying to be sneaky, but so I try to find different ways to add, different vitamins, um, to the various dishes that I would have, even for like a dinner. Sometimes people they don't want, oh, that's too healthy, that's too healthy. What in the world? But if you add the vegetables to things, they're nice and savory and have a lot of flavor. You build your flavor and think about how to change the textures a little bit, and that makes them more appetizing. Like, look at, oh, that's good. So that's what I like to do. I think that's our main challenge is to make healthy food like taste good. Okay, so we've got our four sides here, and
Look at that good food. Oh my gosh.
So I had a little bit of trivia. I know I want to do some kind of kid-friendly things and talk about turkey a little bit. And so I found out that, did you know that turkeys can run? They can run like 25 miles per hour. Really, they can run that fast. And when they're flying, the like fastest recorded flight of turkey was 55 miles per hour, like a car. 55 miles per hour. That's fast. So
So
I
fast.
thought that was pretty cool. Let's see. And I was wondering where Jennie came from. That's actually the name for a young female turkey.
Oh,
I thought that was really cool. The young male, they're called Jake turkeys, the Jake. So I was like Jennie and Jake. Okay, that's really neat. Um, they have some really cool turkey trivia. Um, they're also one of only two like native of the birds that are domesticated here in the United States. The only other bird that's domesticated in the United States for food production is a Muscovy duck. Muscovy. Muscovy duck. Mhm. So I thought that was really neat because I mean we have all these different types of birds, that we have in our culture and our areas or what have you, but the only ones that we really eat on a regular basis, the only ones are the turkey and the duck. So that was pretty cool. But they're all both native to the United States landmass. Hmm. So I wanted to kind of talk about the turkey a little bit. So we're going to take a break and check on some questions. Right.
I have a question for you.
Mhm.
I do.
Yes.
So, do you have like a favorite memory from Thanksgiving?
Favorite
A favorite memory, like something that you can remember. What is your
favorite
most
memory.
cherished memory from Thanksgiving?
Uh, well, like I think being Afro-Indigenous, we're not really like big on Thanksgiving per se. But so I was talking about it in a recent like article I wrote. We still cook like the same foods
Okay.
because it's like our original food, right? That's from my culture.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from North Carolina, right? So it's all, it's the same appreciation for the food, and so it being seasonal, that seasonal type of food, I think is what kind of influenced Oh, right. It's kind of influenced how I grew up. So like my father cooked quite a bit. My father, thank you. My father cooked quite a bit. And so he would have like dinners, like very large dinners. Um, and I was telling them, I was writing an article. Sometimes we had maybe 100 people. And I was standing there trying to carve the turkey. Yeah. And I was finally like given the responsibility to carve, and the line just kept coming. people lined up. And we're all, very like hospitality,
Right.
kind of
Just giving,
people,
giving, and giving to everyone.
both my father and mother, both were like cooking and
Right.
in restaurants and everything. So he would just keep inviting. He would just keep inviting folks. So the line, people were coming by on like lunch break, and so I just kept slicing, and it was slicing. I was like, oh my word, So I was keeping an eye on everything, and I had like my grandmother's bread. She had rolls, like rolls.
Yeah.
That's her recipe, and I was trying to keep an eye on that, and had stuff coming out of the oven, and I'm slicing. It was just so much going on. It was very much like a real restaurant. So I was in a slight panic, But I think that was one of the things that I just really enjoyed so much.
Yeah.
Like the first time that I really understood what it was like to work in a restaurant, because I mean, we had to be moving constantly, moving. Ooh, 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 ooh. You had to
Oh,
keep an eye on everything. You had so many different things we had to keep an eye on. So I think, even though it was like a challenge that time, I think it was the first time that I really kind of understood
yeah.
how much I enjoy like cooking, for people, for like big crowd. But so it was so fun. It was fun. It was
Good.
a lot of fun.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you do are there any like cultural things, like any cultural things that you bring
For
into
sure.
your family get-togethers, like when you're cooking and stuff? Do you
Mhm.
use things like you had said from Africa? Do you apply those to here? And do you do like African traditions here at home too for your cooking?
So for cultural things, so like I was down with being from here, um, a lot of our like cultural foods kind of blended together. So Southern food, a lot of those foods were both Native American as well as things that we added as adaptive cuisine, like adaptive foods. So things like our collard greens,
Yeah.
the leafy green. Um, yeah, I think that actually originated from like the Mediterranean.
Okay.
Um, but those were things that were already being used, like African culture. So the way that it migrated, I'm not sure as far as how colors migrated from Mediterranean to the Americas to become so popular here in the South. But that was kind of like an added thing. A lot of the our bean culture, like the corn, um, like beans and everything like that, beans and our squash, those were already here, native. Call it the three sisters. Those were native vegetables. So we do. So a lot of times when we're talking about things that we would bring to like a gathering, um, we're looking at like the blend of our food cultures, together. So there's still things that we're kind of familiar with, still food that we know, but maybe just done like a little bit differently. And we do a lot of the cornbread, a lot of cornbread. And so my father's cornbread, like dressing, like his stuffing. We're making dressing. Southern, it's more like dressing.
Yeah.
And so it's more. solid. It's more solid, like something sliced, but it's still made with like some of the same ingredients. I'm just kind of loosening up a little bit, right? That's one of the things that I tend to focus on. I went to like Friendsgiving last year, and so I took my dad's like cornbread dressing, and they really enjoyed it. So we did that. You know, like the sweet potato. A lot with sweet potato here in North Carolina.
Right.
It's a big crop here. So usually something with that, like cornbread, sweet potato, um, you know, one of those type of things are probably the only first thing that I would like choose, like to bring to like a get together. Yeah.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna go ahead and get the turkey. Let's just see how that turned out.
Oh, and everything just looks so good.
Okay.
Look at that.
So with this, it's juicy. um, so with the turkey, you know, you follow the package instructions. Everything is right there. Mm-hmm. And it's very easy. Like I was saying before, it's very easy. No stress, no stress. Okay, it's the easy way. So you just cook it according to the package instructions. That's only about 4 hours on average, you know. But you still want to check with your thermometer in the thickest part of the breast and make sure that you have 165 degrees Fahrenheit for the thickest part of the breast. Um, it's going to vary. Different ovens will vary. Some are hot, some are more, you know, it's slow. It's slow. So you still want to kind of check, you know, monitor, you know, and check the temperature um, at home. And that way you'll know what the temperature is. But so you want 165 for the turkey. And it cooked really easily. It was the flavor was seasoned. The season was really great. I think they did a fantastic job
Awesome.
putting this together. Um, so what I did with mine, you don't need to add like a bunch of spices and not that much salt and all that kind of stuff. It already has the flavor. So all you have to do is, you know, you put it in the oven, leave it, okay? Let it cook, leave it, just check, you know, just kind of check, you know, and finish, it's good. So I just put a little bit of like paprika oil on there and give it a nice brown, nice color there. Um, but this was one of the easiest ones I think I have ever put together. It was so easy. And I really appreciate that right now. I think people really appreciate having, you know, other options because there's just so much going on right now. And they have so many other things that worried about, so many other things on your mind. And so this is just a really great way. I tell them I went to start off and, you know, Chef Des is going to show you the easy way. So I really appreciate you all joining me today. And I hope you have a wonderful season, whatever the season means to you. Thanksgiving, traditional, whatever the case may be. Dinner is going to be delicious. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, Hadassah. Thank you.